You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
From the East Coast to the West Coast and around the world on the Internet, we're coming to you live from the CCRS studios, WNJC 1360. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with your host, Rick Trader. The Conservative Commandos radio show, where the newsmakers go to be heard. Businessman there, drink my wine. You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando radio show. everybody. Welcome to Conservative Commando's radio show with Anna Little and Sharon Engel. And, of course, we are broadcasting to you live from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios, WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia, and around the world on the Internet with our Internet broadcast partners, American Patriots Broadcasting, TalkStream Live, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, and AM/FM 24/7. Those are all .com. I'm co-hosting today with Sharon Engel. Sharon Engel, welcome to Conservative Commandos Radio.
Thank you so much, Anna. It's a fabulous Friday. So great to be on with you again. 2 days in a row, terrific Thursday and fabulous Friday. I'm blessed.
Well, I feel the same way, but we've got some pretty important breaking news right now, and I do think it's going to influence this presidential election. At least it's certainly influencing it for me. Do you want to tell our listeners what we've learned from the FBI today?
Well, there's more emails, Anna Little, more emails, and they're going to reopen the case against Hillary Clinton about those emails one more time. We've known for a long time that she's a criminal, but they keep wanting to put that away. Just if we don't look at it, it'll go away. Well, it's not going away, and they're going to reopen this. I don't know how much effect this will have on the election. I would hope that some of those that keep saying, well, the press is just lying about her, will finally wake up and say, no, it's not the press that's lying. Finally, they're actually telling the truth.
Yeah, and I think reopening the investigation with regard to the Clinton emails is the right thing for the FBI to do. They have been looking very shabby, and as part of the corruption lately, especially with that donation to the wife of the fella that I don't know, it's just so convoluted. But I'll say, Sharon, I lost my faith in that organization. So the fact that they're reopening this, well, that actually has a huge impact on me.
I'm not sure it has a huge impact on me. I'm as cynical as you are, Anna, when it comes to the FBI. They compromised themselves in this last investigation. They have compromised themselves before. The Department of Justice was so compromised and corrupted under the first fellow, and now we have the second lady who, they can't seem to get it right over there at the DOJ. They are so married to the agenda rather than to the truth that it makes me very cynical. And even though they are reopening, that it was some kind of pressure that made them reopen. They couldn't brush it under the rug. There had to be something that was so glaring that they decided to reopen, because certainly it isn't an ethical decision as far as I'm concerned. There was pressure there, not because they just wanted to do the right thing. If they had wanted to do the right thing, she would be in jail, Anna.
Well, that's true, and Donald Trump says that on a regular basis. He says it on a regular basis, and people criticize him for that. But the truth of the matter is, when a person commits a crime, they are brought to justice and they are punished by going to jail, and their future crimes are avoided by their going to jail. So I just wanted to quickly reference some articles, just in case listeners, you don't believe Sharon and I. You can check it out in the liberal news media. I'm looking at an article right now that was published by NBC News. And the title of that article is FBI Reviewing New Emails Pertinent to the Clinton Email Probe. And it does say that the FBI revealed Friday it was reviewing a new batch of emails that appeared to be pertinent to its previous investigation. In connection with an unrelated case, the FBI has learned of the existence of emails that appear to be pertinent to the investigation. That's James Comey. And he agreed that the FBI should take appropriate investigative steps designed to allow investigators to review these emails to determine whether they contain classified information, as well as to assess their importance to our investigation. And a senior law enforcement official told NBC News that Comey's letter was sent to the Hill out of an abundance of caution and to be extra thorough. So that's the liberals. I can't imagine what the conservative press is doing with this. But I'm telling you, it's happening. And I think it's important that it do happen. And I think that at this point, Americans have had enough of crony politics and corruption in government. And I think it's showing through. And I think the FBI has been under tremendous pressure. And yes, I do think these new emails being revealed is probably the impetus. But I think they're taking action because the American people won't stand for anything less. What do you think, Sharon?
Well, I hope that's the reason. I hope that's the reason. I'm like I said, I'm skeptical. I'm cynical. I just have so little faith anymore in my government, and the reason is because they have just gone the extra mile for this Obama agenda, which seems to be cover up, cover up, cover up. Tell the lie until you can't tell it any longer, until you have to admit that it's a lie, and then you can just continue to lie until they catch you in the next one. And that seems to be Hillary Clinton's modus operandi from day one. Yesterday we had a great interview with Juanita Broderick, and she said this has been going on since 1973 at least, and probably before, because Juanita wasn't the only victim of the cover-up that Hillary Clinton made for her husband just to get him into power. And now she does it for herself. I mean, the Clintons are just about covering it up. Had Richard Nixon known, Anna, that all you had to do was lie, he probably wouldn't have resigned the presidency. You know, I look back on it, and what he did, and he resigned, is so small in comparison to how Bill Clinton has continued to keep the White House during his tenure, and how Barack Obama continues to keep the White House during his tenure. I mean, all of these things that we've seen come up in these last two, those two I'm thinking of, regimes, is just shocking. And, you know, so often the liberals say, well, George Bush should have resigned as well for his mistakes that he made in Iraq. But still, it's not this glaring dishonesty and deceptiveness that we've seen with Clinton and Obama.
Well, I'll tell you, it's certainly interesting to watch, and I do think it's of note, and that's why we're discussing it here on Conservative Commandos. But I do think it's time to go to a break, so I want to take us to that break, and on the other side, we've got to talk about those two candidates that we need to be helping, right, Sharon?
Absolutely.
So, listeners, we are coming to you live from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios, WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia, and around the world on the Internet with American Patriots Broadcasting, TalkStream Live, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, and AM/FM 24/7. Those are all .coms. I'm Anna Little, co-hosting this show with Sharon Engel. We'll be right back after this break.
I'm crazy. I really don't care. That's my prerogative. They say I'm nasty, but I...
The Conservative Commandos radio show is expanding to become the Conservative Commandos radio network. We are establishing a front line of conservative radio broadcasters and ironclad patriots to declare war against the madness of liberalism and the Obama administration. Are you tired of the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos radio network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on WNJC Radio, 1360 on your AM dial, or around the world on the Internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our website, CCRSnetwork.com, for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.
Since 2011, we have been calling for a national commitment from all Americans to participate in an annual event to honor all of the victims and their families who suffered during and after the most devastating event to ever take place on American soil. We all remember those horrible scenes of destruction on September 11th, 2001 that unfolded right before our eyes, either up front or on television. We continue to ask every American to participate in the united action of prayer, which is simply to stop whatever you are doing at precisely 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. to either observe 1 minute of silence or to offer a prayer to honor the memory of those who are directly affected by this unforgettable scene of destruction. Please include a prayer of thanks for living in a country where even something as horrific as 9/11 could not weaken our spirit. This year, we would like to ask one more thing as a show of unity since we are still fighting with the enemy who caused the 9/11 tragedy. Would you display the flag for the day at your home, on your car, bike, or anywhere you can display Old Glory? Let's show our enemies that we can still unite in our love for our country.
You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando radio show.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back to Conservative Commandos radio show with Anna Little and Sharon Engel. If you would like to hear a rebroadcast of today's show, please check out our websites, CCRS Network and CCRShow.com, or at noon, RoarRadio.net, and at 11 p.m., HighPlainsDailyNews.com. And now you can listen to the Conservative Commandos from any phone by calling 832-999-1199. Sharon Engel, we were talking about the upcoming reopening of this FBI investigation, but we've got some candidates that we need to be helping out in this election cycle. Why don't you talk to us about them?
Well, that's right, Anna. You know, everyone's focused in on the Clinton-Trump race, and rightly so. It is a presidential race. It is the top office in our country, but there are other offices in our country that are at stake as well, local, state, and federal offices. And when we talk about the president is an executive officer, the CEO, if you will, of our country. He doesn't make the policy. He enforces the policy. He doesn't drive legislation. He's supposed to be the one that implements legislation. He doesn't appoint the justices to the Supreme Court. He suggests the appointments, and the Senate then does the appointing. So it's very critical that we have in our Congress, the legislative branch of our government, people who will align themselves with a good conservative president, or to the opposite, if we get another Obama presidency, that will stand strongly and object in ways that are actually going to benefit our country. And there are two people right now, one on the East Coast and one on the West Coast, running for those congressional seats that have the best interests of we the people in mind. And I'm speaking of Daria Novak, NovakForCongress.org. Daria Novak is running for the House of Representatives from Connecticut. She has a good chance of winning this time. In fact, she's ahead in the polls. And she just needs our help, just a little bit more money for this last 10 days of campaigning, just to put her over the top into the winner's seat. She's asking, and this is a small amount, $25,000. That is a $25 or less donation from the folks that follow you and I on Facebook, Anna. It's just a very small amount to get Daria Novak into that winner's circle. And also, here's the most important part, to make Connecticut a Republican or red state, which puts them in the Electoral College column for Donald Trump. So we're really asking our listeners to pay close attention to Daria Novak in Connecticut. Her website, again, is Novak, Novak, NovacForCongress.org, NovacForCongress.org. Press on that red button and donate what you can. Just give Daria that support that she needs to bring her into the winner's circle for Congress. And then the other one is our good friend, and a good friend to this show, Joe Miller in Alaska. And we talked a little bit about what happened to Joe yesterday, so I won't go completely into it, but Joe ran in 2010 against Lisa Murkowski, the Republican, whom he handily beat in the primary, but the establishment Republicans from D.C. ran her in a write-in independent race against Joe. Well, it's another day. It's the same race this year for that Senate seat, and it's Joe Miller against Lisa Murkowski and the establishment one more time. And Joe is running on the Libertarian ticket. The Libertarians in Alaska are the true Republicans. They are the conservatives socially and fiscally in Alaska, and they have nominated Joe Miller, and Joe Miller is running as fast and furiously as he can right now. He does need our help. Again, that's JoeForLiberty.com, JoeForLiberty.com. That's Joe Miller, and he needs our financial help as well. So while you're going on the Internet today to press those donate buttons for Daria Novak, NovacForCongress.org, press one for Joe, Joe for Liberty, Joe Miller for Senate as well. And that's my political commercial, Anna. I hope we all get in there and support our candidates.
That's right, and it's our obligation to do so, listeners. You know, we have this beautiful country, we have this representative democracy, but we have to keep it, and that is a 365-day per year job. And unfortunately for us, we're in the hot seat on that one because it's up to us to support these conservative candidates so that they can get elected, and we need to do so with not only our time and our treasure and our vote, but all three together. And we need to get other people to do the same thing, because obviously if you keep your mouth shut, just do your thing, well, you're not really doing your job, because you have to bring enough people with you that you can push these candidates up over the top. And that goes for whether they're in a primary against an establishment candidate or whether they are in the general election against the worst of the worst, the liberals. So we've got to do this job. And so, Sharon, I want to thank you for bringing that information to Conservative Commando so that our listeners have the benefit of that information. And obviously, listeners, now it's up to you. You've got to go out and do your part and make sure that you bring as many of your family and friends with you when you go to the polls, and make sure that those $5 donations that Sharon's asking you for, that not only you make one, but everybody you know makes one, so we can get these two up over the top. Right, Sharon?
That's right. That's exactly right. We're so close to the election now, Anna. Like I said, it's 10 days, and we've got to make every day count. And that's what these candidates are trying to do too, is make every day count. You know, it's too late the day of the election, but every day up until that election, you have one more opportunity to buy a radio spot or a TV spot, or knock on a door, or just one more direct mail piece, something that will let one more person know that it's time to go vote and who to vote for. You know, in this country, this is our lifeblood, voting.
That's right. And that's what distinguishes us from other countries.
That's right. This is how we keep our democracy alive and our freedom well in this country. And if we don't vote, we are abdicating our government to those who do. And make no mistake, those who are wanting to control this country understand completely how critical voting is. That's why they are not above corrupting the system in their favor, rigging the game, if you will. That's why it's so important that we turn out, and we turn out in numbers to dilute the ability that they have to corrupt the numbers. It's when we don't show up, it's when we don't care, that they're able to go in and rig the game.
Well, I have just got to take us to our next job, which is to talk about these guests, because part of the inspiration we need to go out and do that job comes from the guests that we're going to talk to today on the show. So I'll start off by talking about Joe DiGenova. He's a Trump surrogate. He's going to talk to us today about the Clinton emails and how corrupt they are, and he's uniquely qualified to do so because he's been close to the Clintons. He was actually appointed chairman of the Grievance Committee at the D.C. District Court in 1995 by the judges of that court. He's been special counsel by the U.S. House of Representatives to probe the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. As a result of that assignment, he was appointed to the U.S. District Court, Southern District of New York, to sit on an independent review board which oversees the Teamsters. But he's also been very, very close to the Clintons. And so he wants to talk to us today about what's been going on with the Clintons. One of the articles I'm going to bring up is one that says that the Clintons are so corrupt that everything they touch turns to molten lead. And that's actually a video interview, but we'll be able to talk to Joe about that. And of course, he's going to bring some thoughts of his own. He has been making the circuit, and we're real proud that he's going to be here with us today on Conservative Commandos. We also have Michael Bakesha, who's a Judicial Watch attorney, and he's going to talk to us again about those Clinton emails. He wants to talk about an article that Judicial Watch published on October 19th. New emails show Hillary Clinton contacts with Brian Pagliano, and it raises new questions about her sworn testimony. And this segues directly into what's going on today with the FBI comments about reopening the investigation with regard to the Clinton emails. So I'm really proud that we've got these two candidates on these timely topics, and let's see, what happens during those interviews today. Now, you get to do our 435 interview, Sharon. Do you want to talk about that?
That's right. That's right, Anna. We have Leslie Eastman. She's an environmental and health safety professional, as well as a science technical writer for a variety of news and professional publications. She has a degree in chemistry, biochemistry, and geology, and so she covers the science news beat as an author at Legal Insurrection. She has been a citizens activist since 2009 and is co-founder of the San Diego-based group Southern California Tax Revoke Coalition. It's interesting. We have asked Leslie on to talk about an article. Insurers use California's assisted suicide law to deny treatment for terminal patients. My goodness, Leslie is speaking to my life story for the last 6 years, and really to our family story for the last 6 months now. As many know, we've been talking about our baby Benjamin, so we know what this looks like when people say it's time to terminate life, and now they're using the law to deny treatment. It's amazing, Anna Little. But we'll be back with our guests after this break, and we'll be able to discuss what we feel are the most important topics of the day. And we are coming to you live from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios, WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia, and around the world on the Internet with American Patriots Broadcasting, TalkStream Live, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, and AM/FM 24/7. We'll be right back after this break with Anna Little and our first guest.
This is Rick Trader, host of the Conservative Commandos radio show.
And I'm John Forsyth, owner of WNJC Radio. Fellow patriots, the Conservative Commandos radio show is for conservatives, about conservatives, and by conservatives.
We are patriots who want to take our country back from the likes of Barack Obama, Harry Reid, George Soros, and Nancy Pelosi.
But we can't keep up this fight without your critical support today. Can you help? Please go to www.helpccrs.com right now and make a donation by credit card or PayPal. That's www.helpccrs.com.
Our goal is to expose the liberal agenda and distortions. We are fighting to spread the truth about political issues, political leaders, and conservative issues and values.
Our hosts are not paid, In fact, we buy our own airtime, studio time, and pay our own expenses.
We created the show because we're trying to make a difference. So can you help the CCRS expose the truth in 2014 and beyond? Go to www.helpccrs.com.
Help keep the Conservative Commandos radio show on the air by going to www.helpccrs.com and make a donation today to return our country to the conservative roots created by our founding fathers.
Since 2011, we have been calling for a national commitment from all Americans to participate in an annual event to honor all of the victims and their families who suffered during and after the most devastating event to ever take place on American soil. We all remember those horrible scenes of destruction on September 11th, 2001 that unfolded right before our eyes, either up front or on television. We continue to ask every American to participate in the united action of prayer, which is simply to stop whatever you are doing at precisely 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. to either observe 1 minute of silence or to offer a prayer to honor the memory of those who are directly affected by this unforgettable scene of destruction. Please include a prayer of thanks for living in a country where even something as horrific as 9/11 could not weaken our spirit. This year, we would like to ask one more thing as a show of unity since we are still fighting with the enemy who caused the 9/11 tragedy. Would you display the flag for the day at your home, on your car, bike, or anywhere you can display Old Glory? Let's show our enemies that we can still unite in our love for our country.
I'm Pastor Christina Lamanier. I'm a concerned mother and grandmother, and I urge you to vote for Donald Trump. Our Commander-in-Chief's highest priority is to secure the safety and freedom of Americans of every race, creed, and color. Trump will solve the ISIS crisis quickly and utilize the talents of people like Mayor Rudy Giuliani to restore law and order in our streets. Donald Trump will build the wall, secure our borders, and bring back jobs and prosperity to America by slashing taxes, cutting government waste, stamping out political correctness, harnessing our abundant natural resources, unleashing the patriotism and genius of we the people. Always remember, there is a special place in heaven for followers of Jesus Christ.
For more information, log on to INRASuperPAC.com. INRA Super PAC paid for this ad and is solely responsible for its content, not authorized by any candidate or its committee.
What does it take to be the leader in production systems technology? To be the one company that solves production problems at any plant, for any product, and with any technology? It takes a 30-year record of success. It takes total mastery of complex technologies with a history of delivering success every time, without fail. Only one company can claim that high ground in manufacturing line optimization, data automation, and systems integration, and that's Philadelphia Control Systems. In factories worldwide, Philadelphia Control Systems programs, software, and engineering solutions deliver optimal performance and output flow with a record that can't be matched. Any plant, any product, any technology. Philadelphia Control Systems, the leader in production automation since 1982. 800-335-9811. PCS4automation.com. That's PCS, the number 4, automation.com.
The Conservative Commandos radio show is expanding to become the Conservative Commandos Radio Network. We're establishing a front line of conservative radio broadcasters and ironclad patriots to declare war against the madness of liberalism and the Obama administration. Are you tired as I am about the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos Radio Network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. on WNJC Radio 1360 a.m. or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our websites, ConservativeCommandosRadioNetwork.com and CCRN.com for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where even more newsmakers go to be heard. From the East Coast to the West Coast and around the world on the internet. We're coming to you live from the CCRS studios. WNJC 1360. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with your host, Rick Trader. The Conservative Commandos radio show, where the newsmakers go to be heard.
Businessman there, drink my wine.
You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando radio show.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back to Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and Anna Little. If you would like to hear a rebroadcast of today's show, please check out our website, CCRS Network, and ccrshow.com, or at noon, roarradio.net, and at 11 p.m., highplainsdailynews.com. And now you can listen to the Conservative Commandos from any phone by calling 832-999-1199. Our next guest is with us, and the honor of the introduction is mine. Joseph DiGenova, founding partner of his Washington, D.C. law firm, Genova & Tonsing. He was, in December of 1992, appointed independent counsel in the Clinton passport file search matter. He's been chairman of the Grievance Committee in the D.C. District Court in 1995, special counsel to the U.S. House of Representatives to probe the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. He's also been on an independent review board, which he still sits on today. He's been on Senate Rules Committee and counsel to the Senate Judiciary, Government Affairs, and Select Intelligence Committees, and he's joining us today to talk about none other than Clinton email scandal and the FBI cover-up. Joe DiGenova, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Conservative Commandos.
Glad to be with you.
Well, we're glad that you're around, especially in light of breaking news today. Tell us, what is going on with the FBI and the Clintons?
Well, what happened today was perhaps the most embarrassing moment for the FBI since L. Patrick Gray, during Watergate, when he was FBI director, burned grand jury evidence in his fireplace during the investigation. James Comey today proved conclusively that his original investigation in this case was not thorough. The fact that they discovered new evidence, new emails, on Anthony Weiner's phone, the husband of Uma Abedin, that they did not discover during the original investigation shows that Comey's investigation was not thorough, that it was designed to end exactly the way he ended it, with an exoneration, and that Comey is what all people now believe, a dirty cop, shouldn't be in charge of the FBI, and Congress should introduce resolutions of no confidence. This is one of the single most embarrassing moments in law enforcement history. He sends a letter today to 3 committees on the Hill announcing that agents have discovered some emails related to the original investigation from another investigation. Well, if he'd done the investigation right, they would have discovered these in these emails because of the communication systems that exist inside the FBI. In fact, what this shows is that he never intended to conduct a thorough investigation in the first place.
Now, Joe, I understand that we've got a problem with the FBI here, but I want to talk about the other end of this. What is it about the Clintons that there's always all this corruption around them? Are people truly afraid of the repercussions of crossing the Clintons? Are they that dangerous? Is it their power and influence that causes this? Because I know we've had a lot of powerful people in the history of the United States, but it seems that around the Clintons, there's always this scandal and this corruption, and they've even corrupted the FBI. Pretty amazing. What do you think?
Well, there's no doubt that all of the things you said are at play here. The Clintons have a history of fighting back and trying to destroy the people that either investigate them, look at Ken, or that are political opponents. And they have won. They have won every time, notwithstanding the corruption, the criminality, the lying, the perjury, everything that you can possibly think of. They have managed to skate free. And with that has come a fear from people in law enforcement, in government, and in the agencies that if you cross them, your career is over. And the best example of that is what happened in the State Department during Benghazi. The whistleblowers who came forward to complain about the lack of action by the secretary all lost their jobs. Not the people who covered up, but the people who came forward to testify before Congress. Those people all don't have their jobs anymore. And that was done by Patrick Kennedy, the guy who tried to have the emails covered up with the associate director of the FBI. This is, as you have put it, the problem with the Clintons. They are corrupt, they are powerful, they have enemies, and they choose to destroy people rather than be a part of a free and open society. This is pretty totalitarian stuff, but of course the mainstream media loves them, loves her, and just can't wait until she's sworn in.
Well, I got to tell you, Joe, I can say it in a simple one-syllable word, and that's thug. I mean, what you just described, to me, is a thug. And yet we're dressing her up pretty, and we're parading her around that she's going to be the leader of the free world here. There's nothing less American about that. And, you know, and I'm a woman, Joe, and I want to see a woman in the presidency. I don't believe in glass ceilings. I've broken every one I've come in contact with, and I don't even think they're real. You want to be something in America, you stand up, doesn't matter who you are, where you came from, you stand up, you make it happen, you get there. But that's what's at stake here, I think, with the Clintons involved. I wonder if the Clintons are in charge, if that is possible in America anymore. It's really
well, I can assure you, first of all, I certainly agree with the description of them as thugs. There just isn't any question about that. You just look at their behavior and the way they treated the women who were Clinton's real accusers. And the truth is that if she is elected, the White House will become once again a criminal enterprise. And it won't be just the selling of the Lincoln bedroom to political donors. It will be the kind of influence that was wielded in the Clinton Foundation and the Clinton Global Initiatives, where bribes were paid through the foundation to Bill Clinton and others to get government contracts, to get government decisions made through the State Department, to get arms sales approved, whatever you can think of. Can you imagine, with her hands fully on the power of the executive branch, with the ability to reward and punish, what she will do with the FBI, what she will do with the IRS, what she will do with the EPA, what she will do with the Department of Labor? You are looking at a full-scale mafia enterprise out of the White House.
Oof. Oh, boy. And with that, I've got to take us to a quick 2-minute break. Are you able to hold on? Because Sharon Engel wants to talk to you at the other end of this break. It's just 2 minutes, Joe. Can you do that for me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, all right. Thank you very, very much. Listeners, we're speaking with Joe DiGenova about the Clinton situation, and you can hang on. We're coming to you live from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios, WNJC 1360 in Philadelphia and around the world on the Internet with our broadcast partners, American Patriot Broadcasting, TalkStream Live, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, and AM/FM 24/7. Those are all .coms. I'm Anna Little. We're speaking, as I said, with Joe DiGenova, and Sharon Engel's going to question you after the break.
They say I'm crazy. I really don't care. That's my prerogative. They say I'm nasty, but I...
The Conservative Commandos radio show is expanding to become the Conservative Commandos Radio Network. We are establishing a front line of conservative radio broadcasters and ironclad patriots to declare war against the madness of liberalism and the Obama administration. Are you tired of the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos Radio Network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on WNJC Radio, 1360 on your AM dial, or around the world on the Internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our website, CCRSnetwork.com, for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.
Since 2011, we have been calling for a national commitment from all Americans to participate in an annual event to honor all of the victims and their families who suffered during and after the most devastating event to ever take place on American soil. We all remember those horrible scenes of destruction on September 11th, 2001 that unfolded right before our eyes, either up front or on television. We continue to ask every American to participate in the united action of prayer, which is simply to stop whatever you are doing at precisely 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. to either observe 1 minute of silence or to offer a prayer to honor the memory of those who are directly affected by this unforgettable scene of destruction. Please include a prayer of thanks for living in a country where even something as horrific as 9/11 could not weaken our spirit. This year, we would like to ask one more thing as a show of unity since we are still fighting with the enemy who caused the 9/11 tragedy. Would you display the flag for the day at your home, on your car, bike, or anywhere you can display Old Glory? Let's show our enemies that we can still unite in our love for our country.
You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando radio show.
You are listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel, Anna Little, and our special guest today, Joe DiGenova. And if you'd like to hear a rebroadcast of today's show, please check on our website, ccrsnetwork.com, ccrshow.com, or at noon you can log on to roarradio.net. At 11 p.m. you can log on to highplainsdailynews.com. And now you can listen to Conservative Commandos from any phone by calling 832-999-1199. And our guest today, Joe DiGenova, is talking to us about breaking news. Right now, we're getting back to the investigation of the Clinton emails. And, Joe, I thought it was amazing how you summed this up. This investigation just throws egg all over the face of the Department of Justice one more time. And their credibility is really at stake here. Talk to us a little bit about going forward. What can we expect? Will they just cover this up again?
Well, it's hard to tell. Comey's reputation has already been terribly sullied by the manner in which he conducted the investigation, which was not professional and not according to DOJ and FBI standards. The fact that they are now discovering evidence that was relevant to the original case shows that the original investigation was not thorough and was not properly conducted. His very brief letter that was sent to Capitol Hill today demonstrates a kind of awareness of the fact that his credibility is basically non-existent. The people inside and outside the Bureau who used to serve there and who serve there now have been sorely embarrassed by the director, by his public comments, by his laughable news conference where he described all the evidence against Hillary and then announced that she didn't do anything wrong. Serious professionals in law enforcement gagged at that news conference and have since, as we've learned more about it, realized just what a horrible, horrible thing Comey has done to the FBI. He has sullied its reputation. He has no moral authority to govern. And the discovery of this so-called new evidence is just an example of the fact that what he did originally was not a real investigation. This type of evidence would have been discovered if the investigation had been conducted properly. They would have known about this other investigation, and they would have waited. But, of course, he didn't want to wait. He wanted to resolve the matter before the election. He wanted to be the big hero. He wanted to be able to exonerate the first female nominee of a major party for president, and he got to do exactly what he wanted. The only problem was he hadn't conducted a real investigation.
Well, there seems to be another problem here, and I guess I'm not getting it. We're 10 days out from the election. Couldn't they have stalled this new evidence, these phone calls of Anthony Weiner's? The whole thing is just, it smells to high heaven. But since they covered it up for so long, why couldn't they keep it for 10 more days? I guess I just don't understand how it came out now.
Well, it's very simple. The people inside the Bureau do not like what Comey did. And he knew that if he did not release this information, it was going to be leaked to the press by people inside the FBI. So he had to get ahead of the posse.
Well, it's interesting that that he wasn't afraid before this. I mean, 10 days out. I guess it just 10 days out. We're so close. Do you think this makes any difference? I mean, if they'd have come out 2 months ago, would have been different? Or do you think this was politically designed?
Well, I don't think it was politically designed. I think that Jim Comey is very embarrassed. I think you won't see him making a lot of public appearances between now and the election. And if he issues a statement that they've reviewed all these emails and that they do not change his decision, I just don't see how he gets to continue as FBI director. He is so low on the trust and credibility meter at this point. He's lower than Hillary.
Well, Joe DiGenova, it's Anna Little again coming back to you. I know Sharon and I sometimes sound similar, so I want to let you know it's me. I'm jumping back in here because I'm encouraged by the fact that the FBI would stand up to their leadership in the face of this. It gives me faith in America. It gives me faith in the American people for keeping the pressure on the FBI. I don't know if this solves the problem, but it's certainly a beginning point. We have been, I think, to our lowest of lows on corruption in government. Comment on that aspect of it, if you will.
Well, I think that the Obama administration, with Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State, has conducted they have done more to weaponize the power of government against the individual citizen than anyone in history. They have issued more search warrants and subpoenas to journalists than all previous administrations combined. They have declared war on whistleblowers. They have refused to appoint permanent appointees to be inspectors general so that they could control the acting inspectors general and have them do ineffective work to avoid public criticism. They have lied to the American people repeatedly about legislative and investigative matters. And the latest example of the president obviously lying to the American people about when he found out about Hillary's private emails is another example of really, quite frankly, what an outrageous president we now have sitting in the Oval Office. The President of the United States has used lying as an official tool of government policy. It's almost like a communist dictatorship from the 1930s and 40s, or a corrupt South American dictatorship. The President has set a tone, and that tone has been arrogance, disobedience of the law, disrespect for the Constitution, and a wielding of power to crush his enemies in any way he could. And the IRS and its use against conservative groups was an example of one of the worst abuses in history, which he poo-pooed. First he condemned it, and then he excused it as a nothing burger. I personally will not miss Barack Obama in the White House. I applaud his leaving.
Well, I think our listeners are in full agreement with you on that. And as far as the White House is concerned, we have talked about how we don't want Hillary Clinton to be there. What would you think about a Trump presidency?
Oh, I don't have any problem with Donald Trump being president because, this is a binary choice. This isn't some, ontological question about, where does life begin. This is a choice about who will govern us. I fundamentally believe that Hillary Clinton is a criminal. I believe that she's evil. I believe that she's power mad. She's Eva Perón squared. And anybody who thinks that she is fit to be president of the United States is a partisan believer who simply will not deal with the truth. I have no problem with Donald Trump being president because he'll be surrounded by good people. He's got people like Rudy Giuliani, all kinds of wonderful people who are sound, reasonable, and thoughtful people. And I believe that Donald Trump's instincts, which are to control government, to limit it, to try and help people, I think all of those instincts are well-founded. I have no problem with him being president whatsoever.
Well, I want to thank you so much for taking this time with us. Joe DiGenova talking to us about Hillary Clinton and her thuggery. I'm going to say it, Joe. You've been much more fine.
Well, thank you very much. And just to have your listeners remember, there's one thing at stake in this election, the future of the United States Supreme Court. Vote Trump or vote death.
rise to Supreme Court. Joe DiGenova, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I appreciate your staying with us. And listeners, that was Joe DiGenova talking to us about the Clinton presidency. God forbid, they're thugs. They're terrible. And he has no problem with Trump. And I am so excited to hear that because we have got to turn this country around. And listeners, we are coming to you live from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios, WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia, and around the world on the Internet with American Patriots Broadcasting, TalkStream Live, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, and AM/FM 24/7. Those are all .coms. I'm Anna Little, co-hosting today with Sharon Engel. We just got finished with Joe DiGenova. What a timely guest. And we're going to go to break a little bit early. We'll see you right at the other side.
They say I'm crazy. I really don't care. That's my prerogative. They say I'm nasty, but I...
This is Rick Trader, host of the Conservative Commandos radio show.
And I'm John Forsyth, owner of WNJC Radio. Fellow patriots, the Conservative Commandos radio show is for conservatives, about conservatives, and by conservatives.
We are patriots who want to take our country back from the likes of Barack Obama, Harry Reid, George Soros, and Nancy Pelosi.
But we can't keep up this fight without your critical support today. Can you help? Please go to www.helpccrs.com right now and make a donation by credit card or PayPal. That's www.helpccrs.com.
Our goal is to expose the liberal agenda and distortions.
We are fighting to spread the truth about political issues, political leaders, and conservative issues and values.
Our hosts are not paid. In fact, we buy our own airtime, studio time, and pay our own expenses.
We created the show because we are trying to make a difference. So can you help the CCRS expose the truth in 2014 and beyond? Go to www.helpccrs.com.
Help keep the Conservative Commandos radio show on the air by going to www.helpccrs.com and make a donation today to return our country to the conservative roots created by our founding fathers.
Since 2011, we have been calling for a national commitment from all Americans to participate in an annual event to honor all of the victims and their families who suffered during and after the most devastating event to ever take place on American soil. We all remember those horrible scenes of destruction on September 11th, 2001 that unfolded right before our eyes, either up front or on television. We continue to ask every American to participate in the united action of prayer, which is simply to stop whatever you are doing at precisely 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. to either observe 1 minute of silence or to offer a prayer to honor the memory of those who are directly affected by this unforgettable scene of destruction. Please include a prayer of thanks for living in a country where even something as horrific as 9/11 could not weaken our spirit. This year, we would like to ask one more thing as a show of unity since we are still fighting with the enemy who caused the 9/11 tragedy. Would you display the flag for the day at your home, on your car, bike, or anywhere you can display Old Glory? Let's show our enemies that we can still unite in our love for our country.
I'm Pastor Christina Lamanier. I'm a concerned mother and grandmother, and I urge you to vote for Donald Trump. Our Commander-in-Chief's highest priority is to secure the safety and freedom of Americans of every race, creed, and color. Trump will solve the ISIS crisis quickly and utilize the talents of people like Mayor Rudy Giuliani to restore law and order in our streets. Donald Trump will build the wall, secure our borders, and bring back jobs and prosperity to America by slashing taxes, cutting government waste, stamping out political correctness, harnessing our abundant natural resources, unleashing the patriotism and genius of we the people. Always remember, there is a special place in heaven for followers of Jesus Christ.
For more information, log on to INRASuperPAC.com. INRA Super PAC paid for this ad and is solely responsible for its content, not authorized by any candidate or its committee.
What does it take to be the leader in production systems technology? To be the one company that solves production problems at any plant, for any product, and with any technology? It takes a 30-year record of success. It takes total mastery of complex technologies with a history of delivering success every time without fail. Only one company can claim that high ground in manufacturing line optimization, data automation, and systems integration, and that's Philadelphia Control Systems. In factories worldwide, Philadelphia Control Systems programs, software, and engineering solutions deliver optimal performance and output flow with a record that can't be matched. Any plant, any product, any technology. Philadelphia Control Systems, the leader in production automation since 1982. 800-335-9811. PCS4automation.com. That's PCS, the number 4, automation.com.
The Conservative Commandos radio show is expanding to become the Conservative Commandos radio network. We're establishing a front line of conservative radio broadcasters and ironclad patriots to declare war against the madness of liberalism and the Obama administration. Are you tired as I am about the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos radio network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. on WNJC Radio 1360 a.m. or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our websites, ConservativeCommandosRadioNetwork.com and CCRN.com for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where even more newsmakers go to be heard. From the East Coast to the West Coast and around the world on the internet. We're coming to you live from the CCRS studios. WNJC 1360. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with your host, Rick Trader. The Conservative Commandos radio show, where the newsmakers go to be heard. Businessman there, drink my wine. You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando radio show.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back to Conservative Commandos radio show with Anna Little and Sharon Engel. If you would like to hear a rebroadcast of today's show, please check out our website, CCRS Network, CCRShow.com, or at noon, RoarRadio.net, and at 11 p.m., HighPlainsDailyNews.com. And now you can listen to the Conservative Commandos from any phone by calling 832-999-1199. Our next guest is with us, and the honor of the introduction is mine. Michael Bakesha, who is a Judicial Watch attorney, joined Judicial Watch's legal team in 2009 after receiving his law degree. He had previously interned with Judicial Watch. Since being with Judicial Watch, he has actually handled cases, Freedom of Information cases, in both the state and the federal courts on behalf of Judicial Watch and individuals, media organizations, other not-for-profit organizations. He's joining us today to talk about these new emails which show Hillary Clinton has contact with Brian Pagliano. He's caught Hillary Clinton in a lie, or at least Judicial Watch has done so. And Michael Bakesha, welcome to Conservative Commandos radio show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, we're honored to have you. We want to thank you very much for your work, because without Judicial Watch and the Freedom of Information Act and accountability cases that you all handle, we the people would not have a defense against corrupt government. So we want to thank you very much, first off, for that. Do you want to quickly tell us about Judicial Watch before we go into our topic?
Sure, absolutely. Judicial Watch is a nonpartisan government watchdog group here in Washington, D.C. We are, fully funded by donors from all around the country. We're a grassroots organization. And, really our goal is to provide the American public with as much information as possible about what their elected officials are doing, not only in the federal government, but in some instances in states around the country. And, for the past year and a half, we have been tirelessly getting to the bottom of the Hillary Clinton email scandal.
Well, this Hillary Clinton email case has really mushroomed into quite the scandal. We are talking about thuggery to the max. We just talked about that with a previous guest, but you actually have an article here that Judicial Watch has published on October 19th, which is timely again. It says new emails show Hillary Clinton contacts with Brian Pagliano and raises new questions about her sworn testimony. I think that may have led to the FBI reopening this investigation. Talk to us about what Judicial Watch has found out about Hillary Clinton, her lies, and these emails.
Sure. For the past year and a half, we've been really we've been litigating in federal court against the State Department, trying to figure out how Secretary Clinton communicated via email, who she was communicating with, and, how she was doing it from a non-government system. And, because of all of our hard work, we demonstrated that it looked like she may have done so to prevent the public from getting access to her emails. And so the court allowed us discovery. And what that meant is we were able to take depositions, ask questions of several former and current high-level State Department officials. We also got to ask Secretary Clinton, or Mrs. Clinton now, 25 questions. And one of the questions we asked her was to identify all of the various times she communicated with Brian Pagliano. And Brian Pagliano was a former campaign staffer during her 2008 campaign who then went to the State Department to work in their IT department. And then we learned that while he was working for the State Department, he was also being paid by Secretary Clinton on the side to help manage her server. So we wanted to know all the time she talked to him. And she told us under oath that she didn't recall any communication she had with Brian Pagliano. Well, then fast forward about 2 weeks later, we received records from the State Department in which Secretary Clinton and Brian Pagliano were emailing each other back and forth while she was Secretary of State. And these were emails that Mrs. Clinton did not return to the State Department, that had never been made public before. But, Judicial Watch got them, and now they show definitively that she communicated with Brian Pagliano. And it just raises questions about why she didn't recall that.
Yeah, and I think they're appropriate questions as to why she didn't recall that. I don't think it's a question of what she recalled. I don't think there's a thing wrong with her memory. I think she is intentionally being deceitful to the people of the United States, and she is disrespecting the authority of law enforcement agencies with regard to that. She has completely thrown aside the rules because she's above the rules. She's above the law. I don't understand how we haven't prosecuted her by now. Do you have a comment on that?
I think everybody knows that the Clintons play by different rules. They think that different rules apply to them as it does to everybody else. And unfortunately, what we saw with the FBI investigation is that other people believe that the Clintons play by different rules and that, they're allowed to get away with actions that no other American would be able to get away with. Our emails, everything that we have released, really show this. We've released emails that Secretary Clinton were on with Huma Abedin, that Secretary Clinton didn't return to the State Department, even though she said that she believed all of her work-related emails were turned over. Huma Abedin turned over 200 emails to the State Department that Secretary Clinton didn't. I mean, everything she says, we have slowly debunked. And it really is extraordinary that more people aren't paying attention to that.
Well, so tell me, how is it that Judicial Watch is able to debunk all of this, and yet the FBI is just surprised by these new emails that they've recently found, and they're reopening their investigation? Can you talk to me about that? Why is it that Judicial Watch is more effective than the FBI?
You would think it shouldn't be that way, but it is. What Judicial Watch uses is it uses the tools that are available to us, namely the Freedom of Information Act. So what we've done is we've sent numerous Freedom of Information Act requests to the State Department asking for all different types of records and emails related to different topics. The State Department, under the law, is obligated to produce those records to us. And so they've produced these records to us. We've analyzed them. We've released them all to the public, and the public is able to see what these emails are. And I'm not sure why the FBI, wouldn't have been taking the same steps. What we do know is, based on some of the FBI notes, it appears as though records the FBI were looking at were records that we had received and that we had posted on our website. There are a couple comments in the notes stating that these records were released in response to a Freedom of Information Act. So, Judicial Watch really has been doing the work not only of the FBI but also of Congress. A lot of these records we've received, a lot of the information that has come out has been because of us and not even because of Congress in all of their investigations. I think the reason it's happened is our staff here works tirelessly and is dedicated to finding the truth and providing the public with as much information as possible.
Truth, justice, and the American way. That's what it sounds like you guys are about. And I just am very disappointed that our government isn't following in the same way. Now, how are we supposed to enforce laws when we have agencies like the FBI that can be bought? And it appears that that's what must have happened here, because they're reopening now out of embarrassment, which tells me the fix was in ahead of time. I mean, I don't know. I may be jumping to conclusions. Do you have thoughts on what the reason might have been for the FBI not prosecuting that then and then now reopening at this point?
It's unclear exactly what the motivation and the reasons were. All I can say is, it looks clear that Secretary Clinton sent or received classified information on her email server, and why the FBI did not take additional steps after it uncovered that, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how this new information plays out over the next couple of days, over the next couple of weeks, but if the FBI had done a thorough investigation in the first place, they wouldn't have just recently discovered more emails, which apparently happened this week.
Yeah, and it looks like they came from none other than Anthony Weiner's phone. Now, Anthony Weiner's not part of the campaign, to my knowledge, right?
He is not. It's my understanding that both him and Huma Abedin are separated, but what I saw the report in the New York Times, and it appears what happened was the FBI was investigating Mr. Weiner's actions as it related to a 15-year-old girl, and they went to the house of Anthony Weiner and Huma Abedin and collected some of their technology, and on the computers or iPads or BlackBerries, whatever the FBI is that they recovered, they found additional emails related to Hillary Clinton on them.
Going back to your article, Judicial Watch's article, Hillary Clinton testified under oath that she didn't recall talking with Brian Pagliano. And yet, in your article, you list some emails in which it seems like she's going to him regularly every time she's got technology problems with her BlackBerry. So, did you not catch her in an out-and-out lie? And does this not go back a few weeks? Wow.
It's hard to say whether or not we caught her in a lie because she's a Clinton. You have to read her words very carefully. They're very
honey, the definition of lie doesn't change just because she's Clinton. I hate to tell her that. Sorry.
Oh, absolutely. What she said is she doesn't recall. And so, the fact that there are emails
that's a lie she recalls.
Doesn't necessarily conflict with that. However, we asked 25 questions, and 20 times she said she does not recall. I'm not sure that anybody can, say or trust or think that she doesn't recall the answers to 20 questions. I mean, that, her answers just aren't credible. Whether or not they're a lie, I don't know, but they're definitely not credible. She wasn't honest. She wasn't forthright. She wasn't straightforward with the American public. The American public deserves that.
Yes, it does. And I'm part of the American public, and I'm demanding it. So, with that, I want you to hold on for 2 minutes. Are you able to do that, Michael? We do appreciate your time, but we have to identify the station every few minutes. Can we do that?
Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you so much. We'll come right back to you, and Sharon Engel's going to have some questions for you, too. She's been listening in on the interview. So, listeners, we are speaking with Michael Bakesha of Judicial Watch about the very timely topic of Hillary Clinton's email scandal and the FBI. And we are coming to you live from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios, WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia. and around the world on the Internet with American Patriots Broadcasting, TalkStream Live, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, and AM/FM 24/7. They're all .com. I'm Anna Little, co-hosting today with Sharon Angle. We'll be right back with Michael Bekesha of Judicial Watch after this break.
They say I'm nasty, but
The Conservative Commandos radio show is expanding to become the Conservative Commandos radio network. We are establishing a front line of conservative radio broadcasters and ironclad patriots to declare war against the madness of liberalism and the Obama administration. Are you tired of the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos radio network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on WNJC Radio, 1360 on your AM dial, or around the world on the Internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our website, CCRSnetwork.com, for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.
Since 2011, we have been calling for a national commitment from all Americans to participate in an annual event to honor all of the victims and their families who suffered during and after the most devastating event to ever take place on American soil. We all remember those horrible scenes of destruction on September 11th, 2001 that unfolded right before our eyes, either up front or on television. We continue to ask every American to participate in the united action of prayer, which is simply to stop whatever you are doing at precisely 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. to either observe 1 minute of silence or to offer a prayer to honor the memory of those who are directly affected by this unforgettable scene of destruction. Please include a prayer of thanks for living in a country where even something as horrific as 9/11 could not weaken our spirit. This year, we would like to ask one more thing as a show of unity since we are still fighting with the enemy who caused the 9/11 tragedy. Would you display the flag for the day at your home, on your car, bike, or anywhere you can display Old Glory? Let's show our enemies that we can still unite in our love for our country.
You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando radio show.
You are listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Anna Little, Sharon Angle, and our special guest today. If you would like to hear a rebroadcast of today's show, please check out our website, ccrsnetwork.com and ccrshow.com. Or at noon, you can log on to roarradio.net, and at 11 p.m., you can log on to highplainsdailynews.com. Now you can listen to Conservative Commandos from any phone by calling 832-999-1199. Michael, thank you so much for staying through the break with us. You have just raised up more questions. I keep thinking about us being 9 days out from this election. Why now have these come to surface? Because obviously Judicial Watch knew that there were more emails, that these Wiener emails were in this mix. Did they not? Or was that a surprise to you as well?
You know, it's not a surprise that Huma Abedin had a significant number of emails with her at home. Judicial Watch had asked previously about it almost a year ago for all of Huma Abedin's emails on personal email accounts, and it seems as though she may have used 3 different email accounts when she was at the State Department. And, you know, the government came back and told us that there are approximately 28,000 pages of emails that Huma Abedin had where she conducted government business from non-government email addresses. And every month for, you know, the past 11 months now, the State Department has been releasing new emails to us. So we've known for a long time that Huma Abedin had emails of government business with her at home. And, you know, so we're surprised why the FBI has just discovered that. I mean, they could have just looked at our website. We could have told them that.
Oh, Oh, my goodness. How simple would that have been if they had looked at your website? That makes me laugh, Michael. The thing is, though, that they're coming out now 10 days before the election. And why didn't they just keep this covered up until after the election? Why now? I know our previous guest said it was because they couldn't keep the lid on the employees at the FBI, but they've been fairly successful at that during this campaign in different ways. What do you think is the impetus for them coming out now, 10 days before the election?
You know, I'd like to say it's because they knew it was the right thing to do, but based on the fact they closed the investigation earlier this summer, I'm not sure that would be appropriate. You know, I don't know why they came out with it today. Why now? What changed? But you know, I think we've all heard reports, and we've all talked to people that know people that have said that the FBI, there's internal dissent. That FBI investigator and FBI agents that worked on the investigation really were unhappy with what Director Comey did over the summer. And so, you know, maybe those people were ready to come forward and start explaining and sharing the new information that they've learned and everything that would happen. And Director Comey tried to get in front of it and put the spin on it the way he wanted it to come out.
Well, they've certainly been able to spin it any way they want. It seems like the media has been only too cooperative in trying to smooth this out and cover it over. How have you felt dealing with the FBI themselves? Because obviously with this Freedom of Information Act, you're having to get those things from the FBI. Are they forthcoming, or even after you have pressed them, do you find the employees want to cooperate, or they're resistant because of the director? How is your relationship with them?
You know, what I can tell you is just this morning we announced that earlier this week we filed a new lawsuit against the FBI. We asked for three specific things. We asked for all of the case summaries, the interview summaries from the Clinton investigation. We asked for all records about, you know, that meeting on the tarmac between Bill Clinton and Attorney General Loretta Lynch, and we also asked for all communications between the FBI and outside entities about the investigation. And we did not receive a response to all three of those requests, and so we sued them, and hopefully now that we're in federal court, we're going to start getting those records from the FBI.
So you're not finding them to be extremely willing to give this information over, even if we suspect it was someone under Comey who was threatening to leak. They're not leaking to Judicial Watch. They're keeping their hand pretty close. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
You know, that's what the case appears to be right now. Yes.
Yeah, it's so interesting to me. Judicial Watch, now, you don't take a stand politically, do you? Your organization is not going to say vote for Trump or vote for Clinton, is it? I mean, the nature of your organization is more of a 501c4.
Yeah, we're a 501c3 organization, so we're nonpartisan. We don't take any positions when it comes to politics. Really, we're an educational foundation. We're here to educate the public in transparency-related issues as well as rule of law issues. So we don't take a position in the election. We don't have a dog in the fight. The reason we've been releasing these emails about Secretary Clinton is because she was Secretary of State, and she did something that was extremely unprecedented, which was use her own server to conduct government business. And that's what we're investigating. You know, that's why I'm on the show today.
Well, this is Anna Little jumping back into the conversation, Michael, and I'm so glad you chose to spend time with us today at Conservative Commandos Radio. We are at a very decisive moment, I think, in our history as a nation, and it is extremely important that the truth be known about what has gone on, especially in dealing with our foreign affairs, our international affairs. The server issue should not be swept under the rug. The security of the communications on that server is obviously a problem. I've been following, and actually our producer's been assisting me in following what's going on with this updating information. Apparently, the FBI found the emails that they have most recently found on Anthony Weiner's phone because he's accused of sending illicit text messages to a minor. And in the context of the investigation with regard to those accusations, these other unrelated emails happen to be on his phone. And they are pertinent to the investigation with regard to Hillary Clinton's private server case. That is startling, Michael, because we're talking about national security. We're talking about confidential information, high security level breaches, and Anthony Weiner's telephone using for illicit text messages to a minor has this information on it. This is upsetting. And as it develops, I guess we'll see whether that information is classified or not classified. But if it's relating to that server issue, it raises a question. Do you have any further comments you want to make as we close out this segment?
It really, as you said, it just really is troubling. It's disturbing. You know, we do need to wait and see how these developments evolve. But, you know, this shows the disdain that Secretary Clinton and her staff had for the American public. You know, they created this system so that the American public would not have access to her emails, but everybody else apparently did. And, you know, who knows where else the FBI is going to find emails. But, you know, it's really unfortunate, and I guess it's to be continued. Let's see what happens next.
I agree. Michael Bekesha, Judicial Watch attorney, thank you so much for joining us today. Where can people go to follow your work and to support Judicial Watch?
Absolutely. You know, all of our work, all emails we receive, all records we get from the government, we place on our website, which is judicialwatch.org. We have a weekly newsletter and tons of information on our website. So judicialwatch.org, you can find out all about us.
Thank you so much. Michael, come back and see us again soon.
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
So, listeners, that was Michael Bekesha, Judicial Watch. He's been right on the topic of these Hillary Clinton emails and the private server and the FBI and all. Please check out Judicial Watch for their articles on this and watch them going forward as they debunk what's going on right now. And we've got to go to break again. It seems that time flies when we're having fun. We are coming to you live from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios, WNJC 1360 in Philadelphia and around the world on the Internet with American Patriots Broadcasting, TalkStream Live, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, and AM/FM 24/7. Those are all .coms. I'm Anna Little, co-hosting today with Sharon Engel. We'll be right back with our next guest after this break.
This is Rick Trader, host of the Conservative Commandos radio show.
And I'm John Forsyth, owner of WNJC Radio. Fellow patriots, the Conservative Commandos radio show is for conservatives, about conservatives, and by conservatives.
We are patriots who want to take our country back from the likes of Barack Obama, Harry Reid, George Soros, and Nancy Pelosi.
But we can't keep up this fight without your critical support today. Can you help? Please go to www.helpccrs.com right now and make a donation by credit card or PayPal. That's www.helpccrs.com.
Our goal is to expose the liberal agenda and distortions.
We are fighting to spread the truth about political issues, political leaders, and conservative issues and values.
Our hosts are not paid. In fact, we buy our own airtime, studio time, and pay our own expenses.
We created the show because we are trying to make a difference. So can you help the CCRS expose the truth in 2014 and beyond? Go to www.helpccrs.com.
Help keep the Conservative Commandos radio show on the air by going to www.helpccrs.com and make a donation today to return our country to the conservative roots created by our founding fathers.
Since 2011, we have been calling for a national commitment from all Americans to participate in an annual event to honor all of the victims and their families who suffered during and after the most devastating event to ever take place on American soil. We all remember those horrible scenes of destruction on September 11th, 2001 that unfolded right before our eyes, either up front or on television. We continue to ask every American to participate in the united action of prayer, which is simply to stop whatever you are doing at precisely 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. to either observe 1 minute of silence or to offer a prayer to honor the memory of those who are directly affected by this unforgettable scene of destruction. Please include a prayer of thanks for living in a country where even something as horrific as 9/11 could not weaken our spirit. This year, we would like to ask one more thing as a show of unity since we are still fighting with the enemy who caused the 9/11 tragedy. Would you display the flag for the day at your home, on your car, bike, or anywhere you can display Old Glory? Let's show our enemies that we can still unite in our love for our country.
I'm Pastor Christina Lamanier. I'm a concerned mother and grandmother, and I urge you to vote for Donald Trump. Our Commander-in-Chief's highest priority is to secure the safety and freedom of Americans of every race, creed, and color. Trump will solve the ISIS crisis quickly and utilize the talents of people like Mayor Rudy Giuliani to restore law and order in our streets. Donald Trump will build the wall, secure our borders, and bring back jobs and prosperity to America by slashing taxes, cutting government waste, stamping out political correctness, harnessing our abundant natural resources, unleashing the patriotism and genius of we the people. Always remember, there is a special place in heaven for followers of Jesus Christ.
For more information, log on to INRASuperPAC.com. INRA Super PAC paid for this ad and is solely responsible for its content, not authorized by any candidate or its committee.
What does it take to be the leader in production systems technology? To be the one company that solves production problems at any plant, for any product, and with any technology? It takes a 30-year record of success. It takes total mastery of complex technologies with a history of delivering success every time, without fail. Only one company can claim that high ground in manufacturing line optimization, data automation, and systems integration, and that's Philadelphia Control Systems. In factories worldwide, Philadelphia Control Systems programs, software, and engineering solutions deliver optimal performance and output flow with a record that can't be matched. Any plant, any product, any technology. Philadelphia Control Systems, the leader in production automation since 1982. 800-335-9811. PCS4automation.com. That's PCS, the number 4, automation.com.
The Conservative Commandos radio show is expanding to become the Conservative Commandos radio network. We're establishing a front line of conservative radio broadcasters and ironclad patriots to declare war against the madness of liberalism and the Obama administration. Are you tired as I am about the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos radio network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. on WNJC Radio 1360 a.m. or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our websites, ConservativeCommandosRadioNetwork.com and CCRN.com for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where even more newsmakers go to be heard. From the East Coast to the West Coast and around the world on the internet. We're coming to you live from the CCRS studios. WNJC 1360. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with your host, Rick Trader. The Conservative Commandos radio show, where the newsmakers go to be heard. Businessman there, drink my wine. You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando radio show.
You are listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Anna Little, Sharon Engel, and our special guests today who have been talking about, guess what, the just released Cuomo emails that are saying they're reopening the case, and we had it for you first here on Conservative Commandos radio show, so you'll want to hear a rebroadcast of today's show. And please check this out at our website, ccrsnetwork.com, ccrshow.com, or you can log on at noon to rawradio.net. 11 p.m. log on to highplainsdailynews.com, and you can also tune in on your phone by calling 832-999-1199. And a little, this is amazing, this breaking news, and we have it first here on Conservative Commandos radio show. Thanks so much for lining up those guests.
Well, I mean, obviously, we didn't know that the FBI was going to reopen the investigation today, but the timeliness is remarkable. I will say that. I can't take credit for it. I do want to talk about that Anthony Weiner connection, though. It's really quite frightening. The fact that emails discovered in a criminal case where there's an accusation against him and an investigation ongoing, those emails that are recovered relate back to the private server case involving Hillary Clinton frightens me, because we were talking about classified information which was received on a private server without the proper security protections. It's now supposed that some of these emails relating to that scandal, that concern, are on Anthony Weiner's phone. The question is, his phone's not secure at all. That's clear. How did they end up there? How did they end up there?
That guy is all over the map when it comes to criminal behavior that he's been allegedly caught in. I mean, it's just amazing. This guy can't seem to stay out of trouble when it comes to this kind of thing. And I know that in general, when we lived next door to some folks that just had top security clearance on the test site, Area 51. Some of our listeners will be familiar with the test site in the middle of Nevada. That clearance, they would check their garbage. They would come next door and ask me about the relationship that my neighbor had with his wife. How stable was it? Because what they were looking for was ways that in your lifestyle you could be extorted by someone who needed to know security things. And definitely Anthony Weiner is a top security risk, if you ask me. I mean, he could not even pass the phone test, let alone any other test. I'm sure that, you know, if they'd had any kind of a real clearance, they would have said, this guy's a risk. We can't even have his wife working in the government where she needs security clearance, because this guy is obviously a problem. And yet here we see this problem, and it's in big red letters, this problem, and it goes all the way to the Secretary of State, not on a little test site in Nevada, but in Washington, D.C., in the FBI. It is just, I mean, it's mind-boggling, Anna, to think about what this really means in terms of security for this nation.
Yeah, and, you know, obviously they're saying that Weiner is the estranged husband of Uma Abedin, but the difficulty I've got is that he's got on his phone emails that relate back to the private server issue involving Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. I don't care how estranged they are today. I want to know how emails end up on his phone related to a private server in the Secretary of State's home office that, I mean, he's not on the payroll. How are those emails on his phone? Oh, boy. What a mess, Sharon. What a mess.
It is. It's a total train wreck. Anna, you know yourself that this whole idea of security just becomes laughable in the
well,
face
what if
of
he
this
dropped
new
his
evidence.
phone somewhere? I mean, what if he dropped his cell phone somewhere and some whatever person on the street picks it up and they're going through his emails? And I mean, I hope it's not classified information. That's all I can say. But wow.
Well, and you can't say that it isn't. I mean, if you have access to that server, if you're getting information from that server, there's an open portal there somewhere. There's back and forth communication. Anybody picking up that phone, how can they get access? And, you know, we have these kinds of security things all the time become a question because, you know, there are businesses that are built specifically just to find out about hackers, to keep hackers from getting in, to make sure that the system is secure so you can't get information in and out unless it's some information that you need to let in and out. And here, they just completely blown that all away. I mean, there is no, as far as I can see, no security here in this private server. This just underlines the fact that this woman, at least Hillary Clinton, did not take security at all seriously in any of the job that she had as Secretary of State.
No, and I think she does believe she's above the law, and that is the issue we're dealing with. And she can do whatever she feels like, whenever she feels like. The world is her oyster. She's going to do as she pleases with it. She doesn't feel any obligation at all to, I guess, be accountable. But she doesn't even feel an obligation, apparently, to keep information confidential. And, I mean, she's a former attorney. It's not, I mean, I think she's lost her license. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. But I know she's had a training as an attorney, and she acted as an attorney in the past, so she knows what confidentiality is. But if Anthony Weiner's got emails that pertain to her server, that's not confidential. That's for sure. And Anthony Weiner, of all people, my goodness.
It is. It's just mind-boggling. You can't even think about what the ramifications are. I mean, it must be making the CIA dizzy to see the FBI swirling into this pool, this abyss, really, of security risk. I mean, it has made the whole agency laughable and insecure. Who would want to be a secret witness for the FBI right now? Oh my goodness. It just opens up so much there. If Anthony Weiner is in the loop, what other kinds of information are in the loop? You know, some people, you know, they're witnesses, they're protected. How much of their information is now protected? It's just it just brings up all kinds of questions in people's minds about the FBI and also about other security clearance agencies that we have across the country. How safe really are we, Anna? That's really the bottom line of this whole server question, is the safety of each one of America's citizens, and that is the primary reason for the Constitution to have even set up a federal government, was for our common defense, for our security. And here they have just thrown that away, thrown it away.
Yeah, they have. And at this point, I don't feel very safe, I'll tell you. I really don't feel very safe. And, you know, I wonder what damage has been done on the world stage with these security breaches. But I guess we've got to go to a break, I think, Sharon. So let me take us there since I'm the one talking at the moment. And when we come back, we'll see if we have that guest. Listeners, we are coming to you live from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios, WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia, and around the world on the Internet with American Patriots Broadcasting, TalkStream Live, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, and AM/FM 24/7. Those are all .coms. I'm Anna Little, co-hosting today with Sharon Engel, and we'll both be right back after this break.
They say I'm crazy. I really don't care. That's my prerogative. They say I'm nasty, but I...
The Conservative Commandos radio show is expanding to become the Conservative Commandos radio network. We are establishing a front line of conservative radio broadcasters and ironclad patriots to declare war against the madness of liberalism and the Obama administration. Are you tired of the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos radio network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on WNJC Radio, 1360 on your AM dial, or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our website, CCRSnetwork.com, for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.
Since 2011, we have been calling for a national commitment from all Americans to participate in an annual event to honor all of the victims and their families who suffered during and after the most devastating event to ever take place on American soil. We all remember those horrible scenes of destruction on September 11th, 2001 that unfolded right before our eyes, either up front or on television. We continue to ask every American to participate in the united action of prayer, which is simply to stop whatever you are doing at precisely 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. to either observe 1 minute of silence or to offer a prayer to honor the memory of those who are directly affected by this unforgettable scene of destruction. Please include a prayer of thanks for living in a country where even something as horrific as 9/11 could not weaken our spirit. This year, we would like to ask one more thing as a show of unity since we are still fighting with the enemy who caused the 9/11 tragedy. Would you display the flag for the day at your home, on your car, bike, or anywhere you can display Old Glory? Let's show our enemies that we can still unite in our love for our country.
You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando radio show.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back to Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and Anna Little. If you would like to hear a rebroadcast of today's show, just our website, CCRS Network and CCRShow.com, or at noon, RoarRadio.net, and at 11 p.m., HighPlainsDailyNews.com. And now you can listen to Conservative Commandos from any phone by calling 832-999-1199. Sharon Engel, I think your guest is ready. Would you make the intro?
I'd be happy to. It's my honor and pleasure to introduce Leslie Eastman, who's an environmental health and safety professional as well as a science technology writer for a variety of news and professional publications. She has degrees in chemistry, biochemistry, and geology, and she covers the science news beat as an author at Legal Insurrection. She's been a citizen activist since 2009 and one of the co-founders of the San Diego-based group Southern California Tax Revoke Coalition. When she's not doing science and being a deplorable, she says she drinks craft beer and studies ancient Egypt. Welcome to Conservative Commandos radio show, Leslie Eastman.
Oh, thank you for having me, and sorry for the technical glitch. It's been an odd day, hasn't it?
It has been. It has been. And we've asked you on to talk about your article, Insurers Use California's Assisted Suicide Law to Deny Treatment for Terminal Patients. And I've got a personal dog in that fight. I wanted you to just talk about this law and how they're denying care. I had my dad had Parkinson's, and for 6 years he was on hospice. Now, which is, you're expected to die within 6 months, but we had him on hospice for 6 years, and they kept saying, why is he still alive? Well, it was care and advocacy, and we always felt that there was a determined effort to have the family do something to assist in a kind of a euthanasia type situation. So is that what the law has really opened up for us? Tell us a little bit about this article that you've written.
Well, thank you so much. This is very challenging. As a Californian, one of the beats I cover for legal insurrection is my state, because this is the petri dish of failed liberal and progressive policies, and usually enhanced on steroids. So we really do experience, in reality, what good conservatives often project when they look at proposals put forth by their liberal colleagues. And this is a great example of death panels and the reality of how they're going to get enacted. It's been a phased-in process. You have a number of states, including Oregon, that have assisted suicide bills to allow physicians to assist in suicides. However, what this ends up being is those physicians essentially fill out an order for sleep aids and for anti-nausea pills, and you kill yourself by taking the anti-nausea pills, then ingesting depressants, and is theoretically going to sleep. And this is supposed to be compassionate care. And if you want to go ahead and do that, great, but how this is evolving is a couple of things. Physicians really don't want to do this, and subsequently in our state they've developed clinics whereby citizens who really want to pursue this option, they can maybe find a doctor willing to prescribe. But it's kind of detached, because essentially they don't come over, they don't give you the drugs. What they do is basically give you a death kit, and you get to do it all yourself. The second thing that has arisen is that obviously there's been an implosion in the health insurance industry through Obamacare, and as health insurers are looking to cut the bottom line, reduce costs, what they've done is they kick the can down the road for many patients, including the young woman described in this story, Stephanie Packer, so that this would be available. Then they're opting to not pursue, we'll say, more robust theoretical or, prolonging life treatments that cost money, because the cost of these death kits are about $1.20 when all is said and done in pills and the sundries. So instead of giving the patients things that will enhance the length and quality of life if they've got a terminal condition, they say, no, we're going to not offer this. So it leaves the patient with few options, unless they're incredibly wealthy, to either go to another health insurer if one's available, or to go ahead and fund their treatment themselves. And this is the case of Stephanie Parker, not a rich woman, has a family to raise, and she's looking at not getting the treatment that she needs because it's, that's not an option. The insurance is not saying no, take the pills instead, but they forced her to make no other choice if they're going to pay for it. So this is what death panels have evolved into, and it's a scary thing, and it's good that other Americans in our other 57 states know about it, so they can prepare accordingly.
They won't pay for the chemotherapy that she needs, but they will pay for assisted suicide. It's just remarkable where our culture has gotten to when it comes to health care, and I am amazed. I'm amazed. This is a mother of 4. She needs to be around as long as she can for her children, and they're saying, get it over and get it over quickly. Is that kind of what the gist of it is now?
Well, it's yes, in a nutshell. Again, you're looking at when people are the budget, this is the kind of cut they will make. From a detached office in some sort of facility in Sacramento, a bean counter can actually, bottom line and say, if Stephanie, goes with this treatment, this is going to cost us several thousand, a year, and she's, got a terminal illness. Much better we pay the $120, and she takes care of it. Or they just get, and let her decide to either pursue the $120 or to take her business elsewhere. But again, since Americans have been forced to purchase Obamacare, they're spending thousands of dollars a month for a family of four for high deductibles, and this is not a solution she can pursue effectively given her financial situation. So it is essentially a death sentence. And what this has done, as Stephanie noted, is as she goes to support groups, people are literally in despair because they feel the system now is rigged to invite them to pursue the death option instead of a higher quality of life option for as long as feasibly possible. So, this is the new healthcare system that we're enjoying in California. Aren't you glad you live somewhere else?
Well, we all wait for California to move in next door to us. I live in Nevada, so it isn't too long. But Leslie, we're so grateful that you were on our show today. Can you give us a place where people can follow you so that they can keep track of what you're doing?
Yeah, I invite them most warmly to enjoy Legal Insurrection. That's legalinsurrection.com. The main author and my personal hero is Professor William Jacobson, clinical law professor at Cornell University. He's put this site together to keep up with independent conservative take, I should say. And he takes it through a law angle. And he invited me to join many years ago because I'm a mom with, a cup of coffee and a computer. So it's kind of evolved over time, helping him support the science, law, and regulations as they're impacted, as well as covering California and the news in general. But the authors there who are also on are wonderful. They each have their own area expertise. We have a fabulous cartoonist, lots of good information, lots of entertainment to be had. And please, join us on legalinsurrection.com.
Thank you, Leslie. So sorry, we're at the end of our show. We're run out of time, so we'll just say, as Rick Trader always says, God bless. Gotta run, gotta go. See you next week on Monday on the radio. God bless you.